All right. Hey, how's it? Oh, hold on. I've got something going on here. Got some reverbs. There we go. Let's get that all fixed. All right. So it is right around 5 p.m. West Coast time. I think there it is. And I'm thinking it's maybe 2 p.m. Hawaii time, 8 p.m. on that there East Coast, and 7 p.m. for our Central Time folk. I am Mad Statter. This is Chatter with Statter. And we've got people already coming in the house. We've got Terry in Scotland saying, Molly's on. And we've got Mitchie Mama saying, aloha, Terry. I'm sure we've got a couple other people too, but they haven't shown face, and that's okay. So, it is a lovely July weekend in the middle of the summer. I don't know what the weather's like where you're at, but it is 80 some odd degrees here. Beautiful and lovely. And guess what? I'm inside in my air conditioning. And yeah, that's right. I don't really need my air conditioning, but you know what? I like my air conditioning. Mitchie Mama, humid today? Yeah, humidity, let's just say what we all know, which is, oh my God, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. But it really is. It was in the 90s last week in Seattle, and normally we are not on the dry scale. Normally we've got at least 40% humidity. Oh my gosh, it was like at, I think, 11 or 12% humidity, really dry. And suddenly that 97 did not seem that bad. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't in the mood to go out hiking or anything, but it was, more tolerable than I would ever think 97 would be. And looks like we've got Verity Hunt coming in on the YouTube side. Good to see you, Verity. Fantastic. And yeah, actually, the 12% humidity was very scary because here in the Pacific Northwest, we do have a lot of grass and trees. We're used to it being wet, and there is a lot of tinder out there, basically. In fact, just the other day, probably I think just yesterday, I was driving from my post office box through a neighborhood to get home, and they have 3 cedar trees in their front yard, and all 3 of them are dying and or dead. 2 of them are dead, and they are literally, trees, cedar trees. They're generally supposed to be green. No, they are standing tall, and all their foliage is basically bright red. I look at that, and it's like, man, one wrong, dirty look, could set those trees on fire. I really, really wish that they would take them down. I'm the last person on earth to advocate for cutting down trees, let alone cedar trees. I love cedar trees. But in this particular situation, those trees are beyond saving, and at this point, they are a hazard for pretty much everyone, from falling down to fire hazard. Those trees need to be taken care of. And I hope that the owners of the property do eventually take care of them, because they're almost painful to look at. They're so dry. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just look at it, it's like, that's not gonna end well for anyone. And, Terry in Scotland, 55 degrees for Scotland in July is a little bit chilly. And I do know this because I actually was in Scotland in July once, and it wasn't 55 degrees. It wasn't even 80 degrees, but it was more appropriate summertime weather than 55. Oh my God. And on that note, I do have another little bit of a story when I was in England back then. But before we do that, why don't we get the party started, y'all? Okay, there we go. Yeah, Mitchie Mama, I hope that they take them down before the rains of the fall and then the high winds of late November. In our area, for some reason, we always seem to have a storm right around Thanksgiving, and it's usually a high wind storm. And the scariest part is if the ground is drenched and soaked before that high wind storm comes in, then trees are gonna topple, and that's always a risk. Literally year after year, that is the risk, and those trees are at a huge risk. And Terry in Scotland, I can only assume that in Scotland you guys probably have a similar local wisdom. In the Pacific Northwest, there are some summers that just don't happen. And sometimes it's hard to tell when those summers are going to happen because also in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle area, it's relatively common to expect that summer will not start until July 5th. Hey, Kenny from the Cove, good to see you. July 4th will most likely rain, at least for part of the day. And then July 5th is when summer officially begins. So until July 5th, you can't worry about summer not starting. But if it doesn't start by July 5th, summer ain't happening, y'all. It's just not gonna happen. And so I wonder, Terry, are your local folk, your local, is the local Scottish knowledge, the local Lanark knowledge, are they just like, yep, this is the year that summer didn't happen. This is just one of those years. Because I do know, like I said, when I was in the UK 30 years ago, 35 years ago, a while ago, shall we say, I do know that in July, it was quite warm, or summer enough. And I know that in London, it got to be over 80. And I remember this because a lot of places in London, just like in Seattle, at least back in the day, obviously times have changed. Times have changed. They might have air conditioning now, but back in the day, a lot of businesses in England did not have air conditioning. And so I'm with, we're like 14, 15 years old. It's a group of us from school, and we're trudging through London, and it's just hot and sticky. And so finally I suggested, I can't remember what cathedral we were going to next or whatever, but finally I suggested, I was like, hey, you guys, we're in the neighborhood. Why don't we go to Madame Tussauds Wax Museum? And everybody looked at me like, why on earth on what planet does any of us want to go see a bunch of wax statues? And I reminded them, I said, I know, I don't really want to see the wax statues either. That's not the point. The point is they're wax statues, which means Madame Tussauds has got to have air conditioning. And at that point, every single person in the group that we were with was just like, I think Madame Tussauds is the best idea we've ever had, ever. Let's all go to Madame Tussauds. So we ended up going to Madame Tussauds and I think the planetarium, which was right next door, both of which were air conditioned. But yeah, so even though nobody wanted to go to the Madame Tussauds Wax Museum, it turned out to be one of the highlights of that particular day because they had air conditioning. And yeah, exactly, Terry. Nobody has AC there, I'm sure. And in London, 35 years ago, it was 35 years ago. In London, 35 years ago, there wasn't not a lot of businesses had air conditioning either. The cathedrals and churches sure didn't. And so, yeah. And so, let's see, Michi Mama saying, here was a time in your sales career you could wear sweaters during the winter months. You loved to wear them. You even had a wool jacket that was so good looking. Nowadays, forget it. Right, exactly. Yeah, I can't even imagine. If you're in sales and you go to the continental United States, or if you, go to Haleakala or, up in Hawaii Island areas, I suppose having a heavy jacket when you live in Hawaii is a good plan, but I really don't imagine I would be spending a lot of my closet space on puffy coats and warm sweaters if I lived on the islands. That is for gosh darn sure. That is for sure. All right, you guys, so I don't really have a whole lot to chat about today, so I'm hoping you guys can bring it because I've got a bunch of videos that we can watch and everything, but this weekend's just been messed up, okay? I don't really want to talk about why it's been messed up. I think we all know why it's been messed up. And it's just not really made me happy. But I will tell you this. I saw this news clip. And you guys, sometimes there's magic in the world. And so I thought I would share this news clip with you guys. This happened in Canada, as you might be able to tell, but just north of the border from Seattle, some magic was afoot.
It's something you only see in the movies.
Did they, come to life on their own at night? Call Uber and go off for a makeover? I can't say.
Legend has it gnomes come alive at night. And while it would be an interesting tale to tell, for Kelowna resident Kelly Blair, his gnomes disappeared, but not because they suddenly came to life.
I had a garage sale a month or so ago, had a bunch of things like a canoe and some tools taken, and a few days later I realized that all but one of my gnome collection was also missing.
At first, Blair believed the gnomes were stolen from his property. He said they were gone for about a month or so, but it wasn't up until 2 days ago when Blair finally received some answers about what happened to his garden gnomes when a woman knocked on his door.
The lady hands me this envelope. This is what's inside. And on the back, it says the Gnome Restoration Society.
And with the envelope came his gnomes, refurbished, repainted, essentially brand new, courtesy of the anonymous Gnome Restoration Society.
She says, follow me to my car. And we went to the car, and there were all my, what I thought were stolen gnomes, all back, completely redone.
This is what Blair's gnomes looked like prior to the Gnome Restoration Society getting its hands on them, weathered, dull, and worn out. But the group brought them to life.
The detail is amazing. It's not like they gave these things a quick paint job. There's multicolors on all of them.
What were once items Blair planned to give away are now keepsakes he plans to hold on to.
There's a story here, and I feel very kind of privileged.
Blair's only ask if the society returns to refurbish the last gnome it didn't take, so all the gnomes are all alike. Victoria Femia, Global News.
And see, that is the kind of news that we all need today, right? And exactly, Kenny, you haven't partied until you partied till the wee hours with a bunch of rowdy gnomes. Exactly. And Mitchie Mama, his green sweater was the color of your Monte Carlo. Auntie Ethel repainted it the wrong color. That sucks if you really love that color. And I know that my old roommate, that was her favorite color. And so if her Auntie Ethel had repainted her car the wrong color, she would have been very, very angry. Because, yeah, she loved that lime. I think she called it Old Lady Green, I think is what she called it. But, yeah, she loved that lime green color. And yeah, Terry, a totally wonderful thing to do. And quite honestly, if you look at all of those little gnomes, they really did spend a lot of time. There's some silver ashiness in the pipes. And, if you really looked at the details, all the lips are different colors on the different gnomes. Some of them are orangish, some of them are burgundy-ish. They're all, they definitely took their time sussing out the personality and the zhuzh of each of those figurines to really give them that spirit. It was definitely such a lovely act of theft and theft. A lovely act of theft. The Gnome Restoration Network. I loved it. So I wanted to share that with you. And another thing I wanted to share with you guys. This is actually, okay, hold on. I need to find it before I share it. Here we go. These pictures were not pictures. Yes, they were gnome nappers. Precisely, Verity. And I figure, obviously, I don't know who it is that took those gnomes, but if I had to place them, that society probably had their hearts broken every time they passed by his house, or actually maybe their spirits were lifted and they were like, oh, it's time for a plot. Okay, we've got, let's get the graph paper out. Let's make a plan. But one thing I have to say, now these pictures are pictures that were taken by Andre. These pictures are of a house that actually does exist on Alki Beach. Alki Beach is a beach in West Seattle where a lot of locals go to experience the Puget Sound. And generally speaking, if you ever see a picture of the Seattle city skyline taken from a beach angle with water and then the Seattle city skyline, that's taken from the Alki Beach area. Technically Duwamish Head, but we call that whole place Alki. And on Alki, there's a house, 2 houses actually, and I think they're owned by the same, I think it might be a duplex. Anyway, I think that these houses are the Gnome Restoration, the Society of Gnome Restoration. This is their headquarters. This is where those gnome restorers live, right? I realize that they don't have a lot of gnomes showing. I get it. They have to be secret about it. But if any place is going to be the place where secret gnome restoration happens, I am going to go out on a limb and say these are the places where secret gnome restorations happen. And lovely house. It's definitely the most picturesque set of houses on Alki Beach. And oddly enough, you can rent a room or several rooms in, the people who own these houses actually have rooms for rent. And these aren't Airbnb rooms for rent. You have to actually live there. I've known a couple people who've lived in this house. It's a lovely house to live in, except for the neighborhood is kind of, a pain in the arse to get to. So when it comes to like getting your groceries, etc., it's really an unfriendly, unlivable neighborhood. But Mitchie Mama, well, obviously it doesn't always look like that in the sense that during the winter, these flowers aren't as in full bloom. But this house is foliagely maintained throughout the year. This house is known to look like this more often than not. In January, obviously, you're not going to get all of these blooms. But in regards to all the greenery, there's a lot of perennials going on in there. And they definitely make... it's a vibrant and plentiful plant house 12 months out of the year. Summertime obviously is when it absolutely pops with brilliant color. But yeah, this house looks like a gardener's dream 12 months out of the year. That's a really interesting question, actually, though. I should make an effort this winter to go take a picture of this house, because obviously in the winter they're not going to have like the flags and things out, I'm assuming, and some of the other stuff, and then the hanging baskets, I can only assume. I actually don't know what they do with all that stuff. But precisely, Verity, that is an astounding amount of work, and so that's why I don't. Yeah, that yellow tree I think is the yellow trees I think are Japanese. The 2 yellow trees in the pots I think are Japanese maples, if I remember correctly. So like I said, there's a lot of perennial stuff. Obviously, the yellow trees lose their leaves in the winter. So, but a lot of these evergreen trees and evergreen bushes around it, those stay green throughout the winter. Obviously, the flowers aren't going to be in full bloom, but I will try to remember to go buy this property in the December, January, February months. Because those will be February, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it starts to pop again, because we do sometimes have a warm spell in February. But in December and January, I'll see if we can get some pics about that, and just what it looks like in those drearier months, as it were. It is almost all containers, and so I can only assume that they must put them in the garage. Some of those, or I just don't, I don't know. I don't know what they do. I just know though that the house always looks beautiful all year long. And Terry, fairy houses are small outdoor structures intended to look like residences for fairies. Creators often choose natural forage materials to build and decorate their houses, allowing the creations to decompose back into the ground where they are placed. Fairy house building has been touted as a way to encourage children to spend time in nature and exercise their imaginations. I think that is beautiful, beautiful idea. And Terry, and hold on, Mitchie Mama, have I heard of the purple house on Gulick Street? Everything, including the clothesline, was purple? No, but I must have driven past it because I drove all the way from one end of Gulick to the dumpster at the other end. And so I'm just super bummed that I managed to miss the purple house. I might have to go down that street again on Google Maps and see if I can find it. And hey there, DJ Smook. Good to see you here. Right now, we are talking about this particular house that's in Seattle. It's called the Flower House on Alki. And we're hypothesizing just how beautiful it is all year round. And then Mitchie Mama was mentioning apparently on Gulick Avenue in Hawaii, there's a purple house where everything is purple, including the clothesline, which that's just crazy. That is just crazy, dudes. All right, so I wish my house looked like that, but I definitely know that I do not have the wherewithal to even think about making my house look half that pretty. In fact, I just have a couple boxes of dirt in my front yard, and when I say a couple boxes of dirt in my front yard, I literally mean a couple of, okay, maybe like 5 boxes, cardboard boxes of dirt in my front yard, and they're growing my peas, they're growing my beans, they're growing my carrots, they're growing some onions, they're growing some dill, and they're growing some marigolds. Yes, yes indeed. And exactly, the infamous Gulick Avenue WOA action. Exactly. You know, I've been looking for my WOA Queen shirt and I can't find it anywhere. I know that I have it somewhere because I would not have given it away, but I don't understand how. This is what I don't understand. In a house full of, a closet full of, a dresser drawer full of, a pile full of black clothing, because that's all I wear is black shirts, black dresses, black stretch pants, black underwear, black bra, black. That's all I wear is black. How in a house full of black clothing can a bright yellow shirt disappear? How? You would think it would stick out in any drawer that it's in. You would think it would be the first thing. Any pile, any drawer, anywhere it might be in my house. Because yes, it might be in the closet, it might be in a pile, it might be in a drawer, it might be in a different drawer, it might be in a different drawer. But what? And, oh, awesome, DJ Smook, 5-stream streak. Excelente. Loving your little plumerias. So, I don't know how a yellow shirt goes missing in a whole world of black shirts, but if anybody has any clues on where my yellow shirt is, I really would love to hear them, because I have no idea at all. Between blankets. Well, now, that's an interesting idea, because my blankets are in closed contain, like I keep them in plastic bins. So if it's any place, hidden in a plastic bin is actually one of the most logical places it could be. And Terry, you caught a sock crawling through your living room one night. I know, they're sneaky bastards. They're sneaky bastards. And Verity Hunt, when I lose something, it's because I put something on top of it. Gee, I've never had that before happen. It's not like I had to go buy a whole new cell phone or anything, because I put my laundry, my fresh folded laundry pile on top of my phone, and then I left the fresh folded laundry pile on top of the dryer for a few days, and in those few days I couldn't find my phone, so then I had to go buy a new phone, and then I decided to put my laundry away after I got my phone, and There was the phone underneath all the laundry. Yeah. Could it be in my car? No. That much I know. That much I do know. It's not in my car. My car, for once, has not a whole lot of stuff in it, shall I say. Like, there was a time when, if you asked me that question, I'd be like, maybe, because everything is in my car. The back of my car used to literally just, yeah. I had so many changes of clothes back there, a couple different pairs of shoes, including the trunk. I don't have a trunk, eMusic. I have a Subaru, so it's like it's not a hatchback, it's a station wagon, for the lack of a better, you know how Subarus are shaped. It's a Subaru, so I don't have a trunk. I can, and the back cargo area, that's where I pretty much put everything anyway. Like, if I have groceries, I open the back cargo area all the time. I'm pretty familiar with what's in the back cargo area, including 1 jar of peanut butter and a box of chicken and a biscuit and a bunch of bottled water and some toilet paper, because you never know when you might need those things in an emergency. And so that's my emergency roadside kit: a jar of peanut butter, a box of chicken and the biscuit, and a roll of toilet paper, and a fleece blankie, in case I need a fleece blankie. Yeah. So, let's see here. Okay. All right, we talked about the wonderful gnomes. And then, eMusic, no paper towels. Honestly, I feel like I do have a roll of paper towels in there. I just can't remember exactly where they are, so I didn't mention them. Whereas everything else that I mentioned, I can tell you exactly where they are. In fact, I also have a roll of plastic garbage bags in there. So, and I have some bungees. Those are things that I literally could, like, go blindfold and reach in and find them. I do feel like I have paper towels, though. Because why? I can't believe that I wouldn't. And, oh, Mitchie Mama, you think the purple house is gone? It was a wooden plantation type of house, and the man who owned it was old way back in your sales days. His family probably built a new house. Oh. How about? I want to see the purple house. Now, Mitchie Mama, I'm going to ask something that is horrifyingly horrifying and probably offensive, but I think you're going to know why I'm asking. Do you know what ethnicity the purple house guy was? Was he Filipino? Because I feel like he might have been Filipino. I mean, I don't care. I'm just, being a horrible person by asking that question. And Kenny from the Cove, you once found your Hamajang t-shirt in the toolbox on your truck. No clue how or why it was there. Well, I have been known to have those moments where it's like, how did it get there? So I suppose I could check my my car, because putting it in my car is kind of logical in a way, because it's not a shirt I would normally wear in public, but if you need an emergency change of shirt, and it was super big, so like if somebody else needed a shirt, I could totally see myself thinking that that's a good shirt to put in the car. Gall dang it, y'all. If that shirt is in the car, I'm going to be so ticked off at myself and so thankful. You do realize that I'm going to go check the car when the stream is over, just so you know. I am going to go check the car when this stream is over. I am. Yes, indeedy. All right, so let's see here. Okay, so see, Honda sent me this a couple days ago or whatever. It's a really short video. I don't know a lot of the context. I do know it took place in the Atlantic, and I'm under the impression that this guy is a solo rower, i.e. rowing in a rowboat by himself, but he's like solo rowing across the ocean or something. Like he's not just out for a Sunday spin. He's doing a long distance thing, because he apparently was like 100 miles offshore or something. Anyway, check this out. Well, it seems I created a button, but I didn't put anything for the button to do. So, while we point and laugh at ourselves for that, let's see here if I can find what I wanted to do. All right, boy, now I feel so flippin' silly. It's not even funny. Let's see if we can get this. And it's, you know, it's actually going to take me longer to do this than the video is long. So we're just, I guess we're just stretching the show out today. Not on purpose. Okay, let's see here. And Terry, you often go to your kitchen and just stand there. I know I came in here for a reason. I wonder what it was. I do that a lot, more often than I care to admit. And what I do to shake the brain is I will then backtrack and start redoing whatever it was that I did before in hopes that, like, me redoing it will spawn the same urge, like, oh, that's right, I'm thirsty, I want a 7-Up. And then, you know, you go and you're like, why did I come here? And then it's like, you go back, it's like, oh, that's right, I wanted something to drink. Now, you know, now I remember what I forgot when I first went. Yeah. That doesn't always work, though. But yeah, I hate it. And I'm sure you guys know, and I don't know if it's been proven scientifically, but I do know, oh, Trail Dust, right on, you were just watching a local powwow stream. Excellent. I don't know if you came in last night on Satterbox at the cinema, but we streamed a movie called Fancy Dance, and it's available for streaming on Apple TV if you happen to have it. And very intense movie, but it surrounds the theme of it. The goal of it is getting to a powwow, and spoiler alert, they eventually do. So let's see here. Kenny, an idea for filler content for the stream in the future when you just can't come up with material for the broadcast. Maybe you could just run an episode of Reservation Dogs. It could work. Well, in theory, yes. However, right now I don't have Reservation Dogs on my system. It is being held for me at a secure location, off-site, under heavily armed guards. And as soon as I get my external hard drive, then we will be filled with Reservation Dogs episodes. And yeah, Trailers, I didn't think you were there, but you know, if you're watching the local powwow stream or whatever, you might be interested in this particular movie as well. Really good movie about a native family and something horrific that happened in that family, basically. But very good movie. But it's an intense movie, so like if you're in the mood for brain candy, that is not what you want to do. But if you are in the mood for brain candy, next Saturday we're gonna watch Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and that's just you don't even need to think. Do I live near a Best Buy? I do live near a Best Buy. I also live near a Staples. It is not a case of access. It is a case of access to money. I don't have enough money right now to go buy a hard drive. So I need to pay my mortgage from July still. Things are a little tight this summer. So no, I have a million. I could have had if I had infinity money, I could have had that hard drive yesterday, the day before yesterday, the day before yesterday. But yeah, no. It's gonna have to wait till payday, which payday's next week, so no big deal, but it's gonna have to wait till payday. But what I was trying to show here, and this is a very short video, this video took place in the North Atlantic. Dude in a rowboat. I'm only assuming that he's maybe got a pilot boat with him. I'm not really sure. Anyway, check it out, yo.
I'm 2 hours in now, rowing with these thousands of whales. One dinged the boat earlier, but I don't know what to do. I'm gonna hit the boat. I can't believe it. It's an amazing sight, but also so scary.
Over the weekend, a rower got an up-close encounter with a large pod of whales. Todd, Waddington captured footage of what he estimates were more than 1,000 longfin pilot whales more than 100 nautical miles off the Newfoundland coast. Waddington is undertaking a 2,000-mile journey to raise funds for a mental health charity. All right.
I'm 2 hours in now, rowing with these thousands of whales. One dinged the boat earlier, but I don't know what to do. I'm gonna hit the boat. I can't believe it. It's an amazing sight, but also so scary.
Over the weekend, a rower got an up-close encounter with a large pod of whales. Todd Waddington captured footage of what he estimates were more than 1,000 longfin pilot whales more than 100 nautical miles off the Newfoundland coast. Waddington is undertaking a 2,000-mile journey to raise funds for a mental health charity. All right.
All right, so I ran that twice because I didn't hear the very beginning part of it. Yeah, and so Kenny from the Cove. Yeah, exactly. These jokers at Best Buy just expect you to pay for stuff. Where do they get off? Right, totally. But I have to wonder, right? Okay, so they said that he was 100 nautical miles off of the coast of Finland, and he was in a rowboat, right? Look, whales are smart. Whales are used to seeing things in their neighborhood. If they see a boat in their neighborhood, they're generally a lot bigger and they're motorized. So I kind of wonder if those whales are like, bro, are you lost? Do you need help? We will get you back to shore or wherever you need to be because you don't belong here. You know, I kind of, because I've heard of whales taking people who were lost at sea and kind of guiding them back to shore because it's, you know, foggy and they're all discombobulated, etc., etc. And so I just have to wonder if that pod of right whales is just like, this cannot be right. This is not, what is this tiny little man in this tiny little boat doing so far out? We need to help him, you know, I mean, or not, maybe they're going to eat him. I don't know. But, and the reason why I say, I don't know, maybe they're going to eat him is because, even though orcas are the pretty much top-notch predator of the sea, right whales actually are brave enough to mess with orcas. And so, I'm not saying that right whales hunt orcas, but when they have been known to, because they have pods that are so much larger, they have been known to turn aggressive on orcas. And so those were the whales that turn aggressive on orcas. Maybe he should have been a little bit afraid now that I think about it. And oh well, absolutely, all animals. And that's what it sounded like he was saying though. Is like, they've been following me for 2 hours. I don't really know what to do. It's kind of cool, but it's really scary as well. You know, because with that many of them around you, that is pretty scary. And also, it's a case of like, he knows what marine regulations are. He knows he's not supposed to be within X amount of feet of these creatures. At the same time, anybody who sees this footage can clearly tell that he's not actively pursuing these animals. The animals are the ones that are volunteering to be near him. And so there's not necessarily anything he can do about it. But at the same time, knowing, you know, marine regulations and trying to get away from these animals, and that, you know, but it's like, good luck, they're following you. It just must be a very like, what do I do? It seems like everything I might do might be wrong. I can only assume he feels a little bit like I felt when I was 16, taking my driver's test for the first time. And the driver's ed guy, the test person told me, okay, pull into this dirt road and go down this dirt alley, because the city that I took the test in had dirt alleys. Anyway, so we pull into this dirt road, this dirt alley, and there's a herd of ducks. Okay, it's a flock of ducks, and it might have been geese. I don't know. I interpret them as ducks. They were white. And there was a lot of them, and they were in the middle of the dirt road, and there was a lot of them, and they were just staring at me and looking at me and just... And so I stopped because I don't want to run over a herd of ducks in the middle of my driver's test. And all I'm thinking as I'm sitting there stopped is like, I'm going through the book in my mind, the little driver's ed handbook, and it's like, rights of way, turning down and out, your blinkers, when to honk. There's nothing about ducks. They don't have any protocol for ducks. How do you deal with ducks? And that's all. I was sitting there paralyzed with indecision. I didn't know how to deal with ducks. There was nothing in the book about ducks. Finally, the driver's ed guy said, just move forward slowly. They'll get out of the way. He was right, but that moment of utter paralyzing indecision, it left a mark on me. And I feel like he kind of was in that, a way bigger version of what I had. He was in the middle of, like, I'm paralyzed with indecision. And let's see here. Terry in Scotland, a majestic blue whale only lasts a minute. Yeah, I can't, that's not, I'll grab that and we can show it later, but that I can't grab it now. It's not gonna, I don't know if that will work. I can try to do that during our Lono listing break. I can try to grab it, we'll see, but I don't know if I'll be able to make that one work. And speaking of our Lono listing break, it is our Lono listing break time. So why don't I see what I can do? First, let's listen to some Lono. And while we're doing that, I'll do some back work and see what we can do. By the way, you'll notice, I'm sure you'll notice, that I stoleded this video. Oh yeah, I stoleded it. This video is not a Lono video that Lono made. This video is not a video I made. This video is a video that Andy Bumatai made. That's right, Andy Bumatai made this video. It says so on the video. You've probably all seen the video before, but I stole it and we're gonna play it now. Because the reason why is because Andy's not gonna show a show on this Thursday, and so I figure why not take a little Daily Pigeon with us in the meantime. So here we have it. Boop.
The sandy beaches stretched across the southern shoreline. Look at the blue, blue water. Look at the clouds rolling by. Look at the island off in the distance. I look there too. Clouds start to form. It is the rain that starts Look at the sandy beaches stretched across the southern shoreline. Look at the blue, blue water. Look at the clouds rolling by. Look at the island off in the distance. I look there too. And when the clouds start to form, it is the rain that starts to fall. We went out to play upon these shorelines. We would run and run into the dawning of our days in the sun. 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 Of our days in the sun.
Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties there. My computer wanted to show me something that was not helping at that time, and I couldn't get it to go away. Anyway, you wonder if Camabella Man took this one on Waipio Beach? I don't think that those were ever. I think that a lot of those videos were stock footage that Andy gets from his subscription service. I'm not sure if that was any of Camawella Man's footage, because usually Andy likes to credit Camawella Man when he uses his footage on those types of videos, but I don't know. I guess the only people that would know would be Camawella Man or Andy. And Andre, thank you so much for gifting that tier to Vanities. And all right, so while we were watching that video, I was doing magic behind the scenes. And this is the video that Terry in Scotland shared a little bit further up on the stream chat. So I don't know what exactly this video is, other than it's of a blue whale. It better not show any bare butts, because bare butts are gonna get me in trouble one day again. So let's find out together if there's any bare butts. Well, no, bare butts are okay. It's, you know. All right, here we go.
Dwarfed by the vast expanse of the open ocean, the biggest animal that has ever lived on our planet. A blue whale, 30 meters long and weighing over 200 tons. It's far bigger than even the biggest dinosaur. Its tongue weighs as much as an elephant. Its heart is the size of a car. And some of its blood vessels are so wide that you could swim down them. Its tail alone is the width of a small aircraft's wings.
This all organized. Perfect. So, hey Shock there, good to see you. Glad you survived your dinner with your brother's friend. Dude was super hardcore. Makes you look like a little dilettante. That's so cute. You're all just a dainty little flower. Just a dainty little flower. I don't know, kind of must be kind of nice to feel like that sometimes. Like, oh, he's a big, strong, muscular, brawny guy. He could save my little princess. There you go. It's nice to know that you can save yourself, but it's nicer to know that just in case, there's somebody who's even more so. And, yeah, there's a reason you'd bring him in to judge your tournaments. There you go. Awesome. Well, that's cool. I'm glad that went well, because I know that you and your brother are iffy at best, and so, and so I'm glad to know you had a good time, even though he was your brother's friend. And yes, seriously, Shock, yes, it's okay sometimes to feel like a little helpless girl. It is, seriously, it's okay. And, all right then. So now that we're on a little bit of a what am I trying to say? A watery theme. I thought I would share this other thing because apparently in the Puget Sound, they just discovered a new species of shark. And let me rephrase this, okay? It's not a new species of shark. They've known of this species has existed for a long time. I think it's just that they didn't know that it existed in the Puget Sound. And also, this particular species of shark not only isn't new, it is related to the sharks of the Jurassic period. And skeletally speaking, it's very similar. It is a 7-gilled shark. Most sharks in this day and age are 5-gilled sharks. We do have the occasional 6-gilled shark, which Puget Sound is host to a 6-gill shark nursery. But 7-gill shark, back in the Jurassic era, 7 gills was what the sharks had, and these sharks still also have them. And so let's go learn a little bit about the 7 gills that are in the Puget Sound. All right, you guys, we're learning about water stuff today.
Sharks in the Sound. It is not the name of the next Seattle-based summer blockbuster. It's just facts. There's a number of known species off our state's coast and in the Sound.
But researchers have discovered a new species in our waters. Fox 13's AJ Janville spent the day with researchers tagging sharks and joins us now with a fascinating discovery.
The 7-gill shark can grow up to about 10 feet. They eat fish, crabs, and even seals and sea lions, and they're swimming right off the coast. I asked researchers what this means for our waters and for you.
I'm ready to catch sharks.
In the waters of South Puget Sound near Olympia, a joint research team made up the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and Oregon State University set out to find research gold.
I'm a 7-gill scientist.
Spiny dogfish, 6-gill, even basking blue and thresher sharks are known in the waters of Puget Sound. But a few years ago, a fisherman caught the first confirmed 7-gill shark near Shelton.
Oh my gosh, this is something novel. This is something exciting. The tuna heads? That's tuna heads.
Dave Lowry is a shark expert with NOAA. He tells me in the last 3 years since that discovery, crews have caught and tagged about a dozen other 7 gills in Puget Sound.
It's still kind of a fish story at this point. You know, we have some data, we've got some distribution, we know where they're moving and what they're doing.
And now for the first time ever, these crews know what 7 gills are seeing in our waters.
Hearing a little bit this way, and then a little bit that way too.
On Thursday, the research team recovered 2 of these high-tech shark tags, never before used in Puget Sound.
Kind of like a shark Fitbit. This goes and we'll attach it to the top of a shark, and it gives us a shark eye view, first of all, so that's what this camera does. Shows us everything the shark's seeing.
When the 24 hours of footage is reviewed, it could reveal much more about the habits of these 7-gill sharks.
Oh, okay.
But one of the best ways to learn
We got a dogfish.
is to get hands-on. The team works throughout the day, collecting data tagging and releasing several dogfish sharks as they hunt for the elusive seven-gill.
These crews have been putting bait into the water here in South Puget Sound, pulling up sharks. But what's interesting is you can see just how close we are to the coast as these sharks are coming up.
I know what you're thinking, and let's talk about it. Let's throw it on the table. Let's address it first. Oh my gosh, there's sharks in the water. Am I in trouble? We've not had a shark attack or a shark encounter in the state of Washington since 1996, and it was out on the outer coast. So it's just exceedingly rare here. And that's with people paddleboarding and snorkeling and diving and surfing and all of these different things that they do in Puget Sound.
While it might be news to some that there are sharks swimming right by your floating dock or off the waters of Alki Beach, Lowry says these animals have been here longer than any of us.
Just knowing that, respecting that, just that sense of wonder at just how amazing these critters are, that they've lived for millions of years, and the design is good enough they haven't needed to change. It's just fascinating.
After hours on the water, our last line comes up empty.
Bummer.
The crew are not able to find any seven-gill sharks on this expedition.
Not every day can be a winner, unfortunately.
Leaving only that much more intrigue around how long these sharks have been in Puget Sound and what they're doing below the surface.
So cool seeing those sharks just right under the water there. And it's not just the seven gills who are newly discovered in our Puget Sound waters. Lowry tells me researchers also recently determined the taupe shark, which is also known as the soot fin, are also here. Unfortunately, though, he says those sharks are on the verge of being endangered. Back to you.
AJ, thank you so much.
Well, yeah, Andre, for sure. If they're orcas, why are sharks a surprise? Precisely. But actually, though, here is a simple, foolproof way to tell whether or not there are sharks in your water. And basically, you go down to the water and you touch it, and then you taste it. If the water is salty, there's sharks in there. Now, another trick that you can use when you're in places like Florida, and it's freshwater, and you want to know, are there gators in there? If you go and you touch water and you get wet, yeah, there's gators in there. So if you remember these handy survival tips, you'll know where these things live. And bull sharks can swim upriver. That's true, but it's still brackish water up there usually. So still a little bit salty. But for real, yeah, we definitely in the Puget Sound have a host of marine creatures. We have the largest octopuses in the world, octopi, whatever, in the world. The Puget Sound has, even though if you look at a map of the Puget Sound, and you know what, you would think I would have had a map to pull up. I don't, oddly. This is disturbing me. Don't worry, there's going to be maps later. I've got another thing that we've got maps for. But I don't have maps for this one. But if you've ever looked at the Puget Sound, you know what? I must have a map, don't I? I used to have a map. But either way, 1,700 miles? Okay, well then I guess it's not brackish up there. Either way, if the water's wet, there's big nasty things in it, okay? And so what I was gonna say though is, even though the Puget Sound is narrow bodies of water between land masses, the trenches of those bodies of water are very deep. You can literally be offshore 50 feet and be in 800 feet of water, like right away. They just pretty much go whoop, vertical down. And consequently, there's a lot of marine wildlife that typically inhabits deeper depths than normally easily accessible. But because these depths are so close to land, they're very easily accessible. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, it was one of the favorite places for Jacques Cousteau to go diving. And if you don't know who Jacques Cousteau is, then you're way younger than me. And he was a famous French photographer, diver who worked for National Geographic and just, you know, Go Google Jacques Cousteau if you don't know who he is. And I actually met someone who didn't know who Jacques Cousteau was, so that's why I sound like I do. Because I felt really old when she was like, I don't know who that is. And it was like, of course you don't. You're only 19 years old. Why the flying fork would you know? I'm old, but oh well. Your fingers get wet there in Minnesota. Are you in danger of gators? I wouldn't say that trick works in Minnesota. I would say it works in places like Florida and Louisiana. And as Shock said, perhaps even in places like Virginia. But Minnesota, no, probably not. However, in Minnesota, I would guess that perhaps do you have cottonmouths? And I do know that, and aren't cottonmouths, no, yeah, are cottonmouths the same thing as water moccasins? I feel like they are. And so, either way, if your fingers are going to get wet, chances are there's something in there that's going to gross you out or freak you out, like leeches or whatever. And, yeah, you get gators in North Carolina, and that's not far from here in the Great Dismal Swamp. Right, exactly. And Terry in Scotland, there are loads of dogfish teeth on the ground in Big Bend National Park, 375 miles from Gulf of Mexico. Well, you know what? Okay, dogfish definitely are sharks. That is true, but it's not really a reason to be afraid of dogfish. I've never heard of anyone getting attacked by a dogfish, bitten by a dogfish, let alone killed by a dogfish. I mean, I get it. Dogfish are sharks. I got it. But, you know, I wouldn't. Some sharks you just don't need to be afraid of. Just because they're sharks doesn't mean you would, okay, there you go. Kenny from Coast saying, I'm thinking the issue would be getting bit by a pike. See, there you go. And, but what I do know is this. The seven gills, they're found every place where there's blue, and that's what the seven gills look like, and that's the under part. They're 10 feet long, y'all. That's what their big jaw looks like. That's what their upper teeth, and their lower teeth freak me the flying fork out, dude. Those are teethuses. Those are teethuses right there, those bottom head teeth. The bottom head teeth. Yeah, that's, right, bottom head teeth. Yeah, that's how that works. So there you go, you guys. Now you learned a little about seven-gill shark today. You learned a little bit of something. And you got copperheads and cottonmouth water moccasin. Okay, so water moccasins are the same thing as cottonmouth. Copperheads don't go in the water though, right? Copperheads just like to lay around in the leaf pile and blend in so they can kill you because you didn't realize you were stepping on a snake. Seriously, guys, we don't have snakes like that in the Pacific Northwest. We've got rubber boas, we've got garter snakes. We don't have any kind of snake you have to worry about in west of the mountains. East of the mountains, different story. But those pictures that I see online of those copperheads are like, find this snake. And it's just like, you know, and I spend like 8 hours looking at this pile of leaves, and then finally I see it, and it's like only because I cheated and found out where it was, and then I finally see it, and I know that I would never see that in real life, and I would just step there, and then I would be dead. And so Kenny's saying copperheads aren't aquatic, but Shock is saying they do hang out by the water. Makes sense, I guess. I mean, everything needs a little bit of water once in a while. And, let's see here. Mitchie Mama, the reef sharks are all around you when we drove off Waikiki. Are used to tourists, I guess. I heard one ask me to leave him alone. Exactly. Yeah, just because it's a shark doesn't necessarily mean it's going to bite ya. I mean, obviously a great white is not one that I'm going to be like, oh, I'm not afraid of you, because I am afraid of a great white. What, a mako shark? Also very afraid of it. Let's see, a tiger shark? I think that those are not happy sharks either. I want to say a lemon shark, not a happy shark. A whale shark apparently couldn't bite me if it tried. So, you know, take the different sharks as you come. Dogfish, definitely not one I'm not worried about. Ha! That being said, next time I go into the water, into the Puget Sound, I will be the first person that you've ever heard of to get bit by a dogfish shark. And if it's little, pointy, and feisty, you should also fear it. Well, first off, anything that's feisty really is worth being wary of. So, you know, sometimes those small little packages of dynamite can pack a real punch. And actually, the tiniest little scorpions are the ones that pack the biggest punch. Those big ones that are super freaky and very painful if you get stung. I'm not saying it's not a big deal if you get stung by a scorpion. What I am saying is the bigger one that stings you is less of a big deal than the little one that stings you. The little one has way more venomous venom. Yeah, I guess venomous venom than the big one, from what I understand. And a 7-nation army of 7 gill shark couldn't hold you back. And Kenny, you believe cottonmouths and water moccasins are 2 different venomous snakes? Maybe. No quote me. I have no idea. Because we don't have either of those. Even on the eastern side of the mountains, we don't have any of those here. And yeah, Terry, I've been known to get feisty sometimes. That is true. Moray eels kind of freak you out. Aren't those the ones that should freak you out? Aren't those... They've got big teeth, don't they? I don't remember exactly what moray eels look like, but aren't they pretty much like all mouth and then a little bit of body, if I remember correctly? I know, right? Verity, snakes. I didn't mean to start talking about snakes. I meant to start talking about sharks. Sharks seem infinitely less scary to me than snakes, mostly because I'm not in the water where the sharks are. Whereas snakes, well, you know, unless you're on a plane, you're on land. And if you're on land, you're where the snakes are. Very rarely are there snakes on a plane. I never saw that movie, but seriously, you guys, it seemed like the dumbest concept for a movie, yet it was a huge success. So, I don't know, did anyone see that movie? Snakes on a Plane? We're probably not going to show it on Statterbox of the cinema. Unless you guys are like, oh my god, it was a cinematic masterpiece. We really, really, really should watch it. And exactly, Verity, at least your snakes rattle and warn us to push off. Exactly. And let's see here, Michi Mama. The morays we saw see tourists every day, so they came out to pose for us. Oh, that is so cute. And yes, lots of teeth. I caught one near Hilo by accident. Trying to get it online was scary. I don't think you fished again. The snakes in Spain are mainly in the plain. All right, there you go. And, okay, Chuck, you cannot even, you are spreading the truth. You are speaking the truth. You are 1000% true. Sharknado, until Sharknado, snakes on a plane seemed like the dumbest idea possible. But then, yes, true, Sharknado came in and was like, hold my beer, snakes on a plane. Let me show you how dumb we really can be. And not only Sharknado, I believe they made a Sharknado 2. And I believe they even made a Sharknado 3. In fact, I'm 99% sure they made a sequel. I want to say 3, but maybe it was only 2. All I know is my friend from roller derby, the Wizard of Laws, actually has a cameo in one of the Sharknado movies. Not the first one, but either the second one or the third one. So, yeah, I can honestly say I know somebody who was in one of the Sharknado movies. And I don't think, did Sharknado get shown? I thought Sharknado was a made-for-TV movie. I didn't think it went to the cinema, did it? For some reason, why did I only think that it was shown on TV? I really don't know what I'm talking about, because I tuned out after the first one. And okay, so my friend I think was in 3, because Kenny's saying he knows a guy who was in Sharknado 4. And so okay, so Sharknado 4 is, I guess, as many as they've got now. And I know somebody in 3, Kenny knows somebody in 4. You guys, you know people who know greatness. You are looking at greatness. You're right next to Kenny and I, which is right next to a Sharknado. People, you don't know how close to greatness you are right now, you guys. With the Sharknado connections that Kenny and I have, you just don't even know. Okay, so it is made for television, science fiction, and there was 6 of them? Terry in Scotland, you've got, hold on. Sharknado is an American 6-film made for television, science fiction, action, comedy, horror, disaster film series released by Sci-Fi between 2013 and 2018. 6 of them? Okay. You know, sometimes you wonder, where is the proof that we as a society and civilization are going downhill? And yet it's right in front of us. 6 Sharknado movies. 6 of them. 6 of them. Yeah. Yeah. And yes, this is how you end your day after going to the NASA D316 branch picnic with rocket scientists today. Yes, exactly. You have to unwind your brain with Sharknado. And exactly, Terrell, that's shucks. I missed all of them. And no, Mitchie Mama, I don't think that you're dumb for getting your scuba certificate a few months after Jaws came out. In fact, I dare say that you're smart. You didn't let irrational fears get in the way of something that you wanted to do. Yeah, exactly. From La NASA to La Masa, or La Masa, I guess that's how it is. And yeah, I guess exactly, Verity. Well, the actors and the trades got paid, so there you go. There you go. Some good came out of it, I guess. Still, though. I mean, you know, I know that they're getting paid, but do you really want that on your resume? You know how some authors write under a nom de plume, you know, so they can release stuff without tarnishing their good name? Do actors ever do that? I mean, I guess it's a little harder because it's like, dude, that's your face. Like, that's you. Why are you lying? But I just have to wonder if actors do ever do that. It's like, no, I acted under that one as, you know, Richard Steele instead of Matt Statter. That would be noticeable. Hi, I'm Richard Steele. I would be confused if someone said that to me. So wait, Terry in Scotland, Archie versus Sharknado is a one-shot comic book simultaneously published by Archie Comics as a tie-in to Sharknado 3. Oh, hell no. It deals with Riverdale being hit by a storm of Sharknadoes and Archie and the gang having to deal with them as they make their way down the Feast Coast. Wow. All right, then. And, Shock, you're going to have to do better than that. What was that guy's name? Alan something or other? There was a guy who acted under a pseudonym a lot. Really? Alan Smithy? I thought that was a writer. You're right, the name Alan Smithy does... I didn't know that was an actor. I thought it was a writer. I thought that Alan Smithy was like, what like television writers would use that as their name if they didn't want to put their name on a project or whatever. Because, you know, sometimes you've got projects that you don't want to put your name on. When South Park did an episode about the Church of Scientology, all of the credits were done with pseudonyms. They didn't name any of their cast and crew who did the work on that episode. Not one person would put their name on it because they didn't want to get sued by Scientology and the Church of Scientology. Because the Church of Scientology has more money than the entire South Park universe and everybody who's in it. Creators, actors, writers, animators, etc., combined, and so nobody wants to go up against that. And let's see here. Oh, Sharknado only cost $2 million, so no wonder they can make so many. Right. Okay, Alan Smithy was actually a pseudonym for directors, not actors. Right, see, yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that it was a case of, like, when they're doing some controversial work, like, it's like, well, tonight it's a very special episode on the Brady Bunch where Carol talks to Jan about birth control. Okay, first off, that never happened. But if it did happen, the director would be Alan Smithy, because boy, oh boy, that would have been way hard for, like, raw, you just, when you're touching on a controversial beast, sometimes you don't want your name on it. And to my recollection, the Brady Bunch never covered the topic of birth control, but if they did, in that era, it would have been a big deal. And let's see here. Terry, you base your life on Archie and Jughead's teachings. Nice, nice. Alan Smithy always needs the money, right? There you go. And Verity Hunt, film, maybe I'm just getting old, but film, I guess they're being made for a different audience these days. Oh, Verity, if you want me to sound like I'm gonna finish a sentence with "get off my lawn," just get me started on the craptacular boatload of awfulness that our film industry tries to shove down our throats. What happened to a storyline? What happened to plot? What happened to actually a good writing? I don't want a... All right, see, here we got started. It seems like all movies today are made with just computer-generated imagery and hardcore graphics, and that's the whole point. They write a flimsy script surrounding all the special effects they can jam into one movie. And I don't really want to... I don't watch a movie for special effects. I can appreciate good special effects that are contextually appropriate for the story at hand, but I don't want to just go and watch a screen full of explosions for 2 hours and have a vague storyline explaining why things are exploding. That is just, and that to me is what all of the movies are these days, and they do get greenlit because they make so much money. I just, it boggles my flippin' mind. And I guess in order to finish that rant, I've got to say it. Get off my lawn! And the Wallace and Gromit movie was good. Yeah, well, yeah, that was good, and that is nice animation, but that is not. That's not the same thing as Fast and the Furious or all of the whatever stupidnesses that just keep coming out. And don't even get me started on Marvel and DC, that whole situation. Anyway, yeah. So, alright, so, now that I'm kind of annoyed because I am feeling old and I want people to get off my lawn. Right, exactly. Actually, you know what, Verity? It's not. What it is it's followed by a car chase and then of-age actors pretending to be underage characters pretending to have sex. Because inevitably, chances are that 15-year-old on screen is actually played by a 23-year-old. Very rarely do they age appropriately cast. And they do more so now, but back in the day, I mean, that's what Hollywood was flipping known for. You're 45 years old and, well, some people still say I can play as young as 18. And it's just like, the heck? No, you cannot, you old, haggard 18-year-old. They tried that with Beverly Hills 90210. Andrea, she was like 37 and she was playing a 17-year-old. You could tell. You could tell. Right, and then there's the show us your... Exactly. And yeah, Terry and Scotland, car chases and explosions apparently are absolutely are intellectual revelations, and notoriously so in Mad World. I don't know what that is, but I can only assume it's maybe a Mad Max iteration. Once again, Mad Max, not even a genre of movies that interest me in the least. I don't like most of that dystopian nightmare stuff. Tank Girl is the exception, but Tank Girl was its own beast. It's, cartoon, meet live action, plus it had Lori Petty, so, that's awesome. And, it's an old movie from the late 50s and 60s. Got it. Movie full of old-time actors, says Mitch Miller. Never heard of it, but that shouldn't surprise anyone, because I haven't heard of a lot of movies. And shock, it's a movie where some 40-plus-year-old played some woman's barely adult son. It's an old film. Got it. Maybe we should find it for you. I don't know if you should or not. Although, those old films that I'm very wary about, the one that we played with Harvey the Rabbit, very cute film. I'm very glad that we played that one. I can't remember what it's called. Was it called Harvey the Rabbit? Was it called Harvey? I don't remember what it was called, but that was a cute movie, actually. Even though I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't know. I'm like a 3-year-old, a toddler. I don't like it. Have you tried it? No. That's how I am with movies. So it's called Harvey, just Harvey. Okay, gotcha. All right, not Harvey the Rabbit. I get it now. Okay. Oh, really, eMusic. See, it's a good movie. It's actually filled with comedy. Gotcha. It had every popular actor at the time in it. Oh, okay. All right. So, what era did it come out in? The 40s or the 50s? I can't really remember who the popular actors were then, mostly because I wasn't alive. And, it's a classic from the 60s. Gotcha. Well, I still don't know who was that popular then. And Plan 9 from Outer Space was based on a true story. I don't know what Plan 9 from Outer Space is about, but that name sounds very familiar. But I also, for some reason, keep thinking in my brain that Plan 9 from Outer Space is related to Earth Girls Are Easy, which Julie Brown from the Homecoming Queen's Got a Gun song was in that movie, and I'm pretty sure this is where my my brain wires get things mixed up. And you can see the word Kelvinator on the spaceship door. Was Kelvinator the manufacturer of the spaceship? Is that why you could see? I don't know. What does that mean? My brain does need help. But what's the significance of Kelvinator being on the door? Oh, Kelvinator was a No, Kelvinator was more than just a refrigerator, dude. My air conditioner is a Kelvinator. Kelvinator is just a manufacturer of appliances. And so maybe he was maybe Kelvinator was a manufacturer of the spaceship, right? I mean, but Kelvinator makes more than just refrigerators. I can tell you that, because I own a Kelvinator. I literally own a Kelvinator. It's the best, and you know what? I can't give it away. I've been trying to get rid of this Kelvinator because I've got a heat pump now, and I don't need my air conditioner. My Kelvinator cooled the house just as good, if not better, than my silly heat pump, and used less electricity doing it. So I don't know why people don't want my window unit. It's the best flippin' Kelvinator is a great brand. The window unit is probably from the 1960s. I'm not gonna lie. It's not Energy Star certified, but it does not draw a lot of power to cool the air. I'm sure whatever chemical is in there is carcinogenic as all get out, but it has done me good for the last 20 years, and I love that flippin' thing. And it was old when I got it, and it still works. So, Shock, why would I get rid of it? Because I've got one. My house is small, and it's big and bulky, and I've got one that is built into my house now. But to tell you the truth, I have been like, well, I'm not gonna, unless I can give it away, I'm not getting rid of it, because who knows, one day I might need it again. And you see, that is how hoarding starts. who knows? I might need it again. That's how hoarding starts. And oh wow, Mitchie Mama, your Kelvinator was made with a washer and dryer, so Kelvinator doesn't just make cooling appliances, I guess, is what it is. Mitchie Mama, Kelvinator is Sears right? I have no idea. Someone gifted me the unit. So I have no idea if it's a Sears brand or not, but what I do know is it's probably the oldest appliance in my house, and it still works. And Puzzy Cat coming in with 2-minute warning, which actually now it's a 1-minute warning. And Shock, you're getting rid of all your stuff at a reasonable pace. You don't want your nephew to get stuck with all this junk. Makes sense, makes sense. Luckily, I've only got so much space in my house to accumulate junk, but I should probably start doing that too. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right, you guys, we've got 1 minute left, and that's probably going to be done in about 5 seconds anyway, but I want to thank everybody for hanging out tonight, and I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. I know that hanging out with everybody here tonight made me feel a lot better, because the wind was kind of out of my sails earlier today. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, mods, for modding. Thank you so much for chatting away and keeping the chat going. Oh, and now that I've got the hiccups and the hiccup burps, I want to hiccup and burp at the same time. I'm so sorry, guys. Andre, thank you for the gift subs and all those biddies. And we will hopefully see each other on Wednesday, 5 p.m. West Coast time. And, oh, thank you so much for getting C Honda a subscription there, Andre. And then if we don't see each other on Wednesday, we will hopefully see each other on Saturday for a brainless time 1980s movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Sean Penn, Phoebe Cates, Judge Reinhold, a bunch of other people who I'm not going to tell you, Nicolas Cage, yeah, a whole bunch of people. It's a funny, stupid movie, just like I like, and I hope you like funny, stupid too. Okay, you guys, we'll see each other soon. Take care. Have a good one.